Hi, I'm Stephen Tallamy. In this video I want to share my latest sample pack for Piano Book. But before I do that, I wanted to say a big welcome to all my new subscribers. Over the Christmas break I crossed the 1,000 subscriber mark, which was no doubt thanks to Christian Henson for sending so many people my way. I really do appreciate all of the support, and it's been great to connect with so many people. If you're relatively new to this channel, then please do check out some of my previous videos. I've created 3 playlists that I'll link below, one on sampling, one on synthesizers, and one on independent film scoring. So if you're interested in any of those topics, then please do check them out. And now on to the topic of this video, my latest free sample pack. As you have probably seen, one of my recent projects was putting together a collaborative piece of music for Christian Henson's birthday. As I was completing the project, I realised that I needed a few more percussion parts to add a little bit more drive to the track and help with some transitions. And so I got in touch with my drummer mate, James Walker, to see if he could contribute. So he very kindly recorded some tom fills, some ride cymbals and some cymbal swells. And because I had the isolated stems of these cymbal swells, I thought I would have a go at seeing if I could turn them into a sampled instrument. So I quickly knocked together a contact instrument and it worked out really well. And whilst I was doing it, I thought I would have a play with some contact scripting to see if I could figure out a solution to one of the problems I often have with cymbal swell samples. More on that later. And that actually worked out really, really well. So I got back in touch with James and asked if he wanted to do a proper sampling session of a range of different cymbals, and he was more than happy to help out. Now, James does quite a bit of recording from home, so he was all set up to do this. So I'll hand you over to James now to show you his setup.
So just quickly talk you through how I've been doing the recording. 3 cymbals here, which we've been switching out through the recording. A stereo pair of Sontronics STC1s, just in a simple configuration. Little Zoom camcorder just to do some videoing. Mic's going into a Focusrite Sapphire interface, and then that's coming into my MacBook where I'm recording using Ableton Live.
Now, James had the great idea of recording short and longer swells. He did this over a wide range of different cymbals from Zildjian, UFIP, Wuhan and Dreams. So let's head back to the studio to see how I turn those recordings into a sample library. So what we've got here is we've got 12 different cymbals, different recordings, and each one of those cymbals we've got recorded in a long, a medium and a short articulation. So let's just listen to the short articulation of this one at the top. So what you can see there is that we have the articulation lasting for 4 beats at 120 BPM. If we go down to the medium one, then that one is lasting 8 beats, and of course then the long articulation is going to be lasting for an entire 4 bars. But the idea here is that everything should end up on the click. So you can see here as I go down right the way through all of these cymbals, you can see that every single one of them, James has timed it so that the peak of it is actually on a downbeat. And that's going to be really useful when we come to the next stage of building the contact instrument. So if you're wondering what all these recordings sound like, so that's 3 articulations times 12 cymbals, so 36 swells. Well, let's give that a go. I might drag down the mix bus a little bit. So here I've got the UI up and running, and you can see I've got some basic controls, attack and release, nothing too complex. We'll get into the sync piece in a moment. And so what I've done is I've laid out those articulations across the keyboard, so that means that we've got from the C, and then C sharp, and then up to the D. That is one pair. Then we've got F, F sharp and G, and then similarly C, C sharp. So each octave, it's these three keys that have the cymbals on them. So let's just take a short articulation. So that will be the topmost one. And we can hear another short articulation if we go up here. Or in the middle here on the G. So hopefully you can see when I play a note, the UI updates and shows you which particular cymbal was also being played. So nice little fun feature there added to it. And so again, we've got the medium swells here on the black notes. And then you've got the longer ones on the bottom note here. Now, I've also made a version of this for a decent sampler. So if we listen to that one, it's going to play exactly the same way. I just don't have the ability to play with the graphics in the same way in Decent Sampler as I do in Kontakt. So you might have a recording of an orchestra in a large room and you might be thinking, well, will this blend reasonably well? I actually find that cymbals tend to take quite well to reverb. So let's put on a little bit of reverb on here. Let's first start off with a bit of Fab Filter. Or we can try a little bit of cinematic rooms. And something that I've used a few times, which might seem a bit weird, is to use something like Valhalla Shimmer. So this is a shimmer verb. This can give quite an interesting effect when you want to have a more of an ethereal style of cymbal swell. So let's now talk about the sync function on the UI. Now I've only been able to implement this inside of Kontakt, but one of the things that I find about cymbal libraries is that it can be quite frustrating lining up the exact swell point within your piece. So what this synchronize function will do is it will actually synchronize to the downbeat of the next bar that it can within the tempo that you're running at. So just to help us see that, let's bring up the beats display so we can see that the swell is actually happening on the downbeat. So this is only going to work whilst the DAW is running, so whilst it's playing back or recording. So let's get that going. So this doesn't have to be played exactly on any of the beats because it's going to align to the next downbeat. So I'm going to deliberately play this off the beat. And let's do that again. So you should be able to see that every time I hit the note, the swell is actually on the downbeat. And this is going to work also with the long swells. So you should be seeing here on the display, when we get that downbeat, we're also getting the cymbal swell. Now I've got a few other tempos set up here. So we're going to go a little bit faster now. Then even with a slower tempo. Now in a 6/8. Now this is using built-in features of Contact, so it should work in all DAWs. I've tried it obviously in Logic, and I've sent it to a few people who've tried it out in their DAWs, and so far it seems to be working. But if you have any issues or you think of any improvements, please do leave a comment below. Now, compared to my other sample libraries, this is more of a utility than it is to inspire a new piece of music, but hopefully with the range of different cymbals and that handy sync feature, it will be something that can feature in one of your upcoming compositions. I want to say a big thanks to James for doing the recordings. I will leave some links to his socials below so you can check out what else he does. I have lots of other ideas for videos for the new year, including maybe a walkthrough of the patchwork tracks, if that would be of interest. If you have any ideas, please do leave a comment below. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do give James a big thumbs up for helping make it happen. Share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.